me, when I play bad, I'm not trying to be cocky or blame the jungler like others do. I just realize I got outplayed and I watch the replay and see what the other guy did better than me. And that's why I improve myself. When someone beats me, I look at him and I improve from what he did bad and what he did better than me.
Welcome back to the Season 3 League of Legends Championship Series live from Cologne. Gambit and Fnatic rocked the house for our very first match of the day, but there's a lot more to come. We'll move over to our commentators, Quickshot and Joe, for a look at match 2 in a second, but first, take a look at this.
Nobody gave us any credit, and they said we were not going to qualify.
So the Copenhagen Wolves, they've been to tournaments, but never at this level.
The Copenhagen Wolves had a 16-year-old AP mid player called Bjergsen who wasn't able to play with them in this tournament.
That was a blow to the team, for sure.
They asked me if I could play for them. And as I don't have a team right now, I thought, why not?
I consider Bjergsen our best player, which is why it was pretty disastrous that we could not use him.
Especially Bjergsen didn't think the team expected to get there, and even before the game, they didn't expect that they would be able to win.
We talked before the event about this, and he was like, avoid Millennium by all costs. Get #1 in your group so you can face either Acer, Curse, or Dragonborns, and you have chance. Get Millennium, no chance.
He said it because he was being a little arrogant bastard.
The whole team thought we had a chance, just that Millennium is the team we thought were strongest in this tournament.
We expected to get 2-0'd by them.
That's a double buff going across the Tamsin. Tamsin's going to get dropped by the Test. Now they're turning out towards Heidel. Heidel's going to get taken down low. The Test should pick it up. It's a double kill for the Copenhagen Wolves. He picks up a double. He picks up a triple. Can he get the quadra? Just an arcane ship will do it. No! There's the quadra kill from the Test. And he just destroys Millennium. The Test cleans up. And the rest of the Wolves go on through to take victory.
When we won the first game, I was like really excited. Like still worried that they'd come back really hard and bite us. This is possible. This is possible.
So they are just one game away from being in Season 3.
I kind of called it. I said if we win the first game, we will win it.
Godbro gets the reset, gets a double, goes straight through. Kratos get the ace in the hole on him. Doesn't matter, the Nexus is exposed, and it's going to be the Copenhagen Wolves making it into Season 3.
We are amazed. I mean, nobody expected to 2-0 Millennium. It was just the greatest feeling. I mean, I hugged the entire team because I was so happy.
Copenhagen Wolves just blitz the group and blitz the qualification.
This is kind of an in-your-face Bjergsen as well, which is always enjoyable. It means as much to him as it does to us, since he's gonna be on the team again.
If you ask any pro player who's here at the event, he's gonna say it's an upset, like big time. There's nobody who's gonna say they expect us to qualify at all.
So there we hear from Copenhagen Wolves. Did anyone really expect them? I think they were right. And you saw there, the moment that they qualified for Season 3, they didn't get up and scream. They sat back in their chairs and said, oh, thank God for that. They didn't really expect it coming out of themselves. We heard about Bjergsen. We had that famous on-stage moment where they said, you know,
Yeah,
you see it, Bjergsen, is what they said, something along those lines. But they had a fantastic performance. But that sets us up for this game here. We already saw them yesterday against SK, Trevor. They didn't look too impressive, sadly.
No, not at all. You know, I had a chat to the guys there. They're setting up on stage this morning for some practice, and I just said, what happened? You know, they said they didn't play their comp. They tried to pick a poke composition. They got a little bit behind, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to get back in the fight, because when you fall behind with a poke comp, you can't pick team fights. So they said they understand what went wrong. They know that what mistakes they made, and they just went back to the drawing board. Now they're going to face off against Evil Geniuses, who, let's say, arguably are a stronger team.
I wouldn't say arguably right now either. I mean, the record kind of speaks for itself. You've got one team who has little to no experience on a stage, certainly not a stage like this size. Then you've got Evil Geniuses who've got more experience than most teams around the world. Yeah, so it's a complete mismatch in terms of experience. What we have from Copenhagen Wolves is the total passion, and they just want it so bad. But they're up against such a tough opponent here.
Just before we actually meet the teams, we do need to mention the KDA ratios for these teams. Yesterday, of course, Evil Geniuses, well, they were phenomenal. 3 of their team members did not have a single death to their name. So just to let you know, the kill-death assist ratio for Wicked, 18. Snoopy, 15. Froggen, 19. Yellow Pete, 13. And Scumbag Crepo, he's laying the side down on 5.5. Just not good enough, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the average KDA ratio between the two teams, you've got 12.7 average on EG, and you've got 0.4 over with Wolves. That tells a bit of a story coming into this one. Of course, it's a brand new game for both teams, though, so anything can happen. Let's throw it over to Shocks and meet the players.
Yes, it's high time we met the team. So coming up first, here are the Copenhagen Wolves. First up, he's an 80 carry, played a solid Ezreal in the qualifiers. It's the Tess. Next up, manager turned support, Deficio. Then the only Swede in the all-Danish team, Coutard. He's famous for playing Lee Sin and Cho in the jungle. It's Svenskeren. And finally, the avid Nidalee player, Godbro. On the other side, we have Evil Geniuses with the player often referred to. Yeah. All right, first up, the support player often referred to as a scumbag who played a mean Leona in Season 2, Crepo. Secondly, the 80 carry showing consistent top play, Yellow Pete. Third, considered one of the best AP mids in the world, it's Froggen. He's famous for his stare and for playing support jungle. It's Snoopy. And last but not least, it's a solid top laner, Wicked. All right, the Copenhagen Wolves are looking for their first win in the LCS, or are the Evil Geniuses going 2-0? We'll find out. So let's toss it over to Quickshot and Joe.
Thanks a lot, Shock. So we saw there the two lineups. Evil Geniuses, as Shock said, 1-0 right now. They looked so amazingly good yesterday. A perfectly oiled machine, not just well oiled, they were perfectly oiled yesterday.
It doesn't get better than that.
It doesn't get better than that, that's for sure. Wicked in that top lane. I actually saw one of the highest threads on Reddit yesterday was calling him Bricked because he was so strong and solid yesterday.
Solid as a brick.
It was unbelievably good.
His Shen was absolutely out of this world. Every single time Stand United was used, it saved multiple team members. The taunts were great. And, you know, once they got ahead, they held that lead and they didn't throw it away. We caught up with them this morning and they were saying, you know, when they got that middle inhibitor, they were thinking about going for the push. They were thinking about getting the Nexus. But the day before that, in a ranked 5v5, they actually lost by trying to get over-aggressive, by trying to finish too early. So they said, look, we're going to play it by the numbers. We're going to play it in CLG Evil Genius' style, that's slow, methodical, and play it out. But they won it, and that's all that matters.
Well, that's the thing right now. If you think about how the system works, you don't get anything, no points for finishing the game in less than 100 minutes. So this actually fits Evil Geniuses really perfectly. The fact that they calculate it so they know that when they do make that final push on their terms, that they're going to win the game with it. They're under no pressure whatsoever to end games quickly, which really just is fitting into their style brilliantly. And we saw how long they can hold out games when they're behind, how long they can hold out games when they're in front even. Yeah. So, you know, that's great for them. On the other side, you've got Wolves who, as we said, they don't have that big experience. At the end of the day, they're playing with Deficio here, who I think was referred to by the team as a noob in one of the videos that we saw yesterday. Is that going to be a big problem for them today? I think it probably will be.
Well, look, what's difficult to do when you've got these substitutions? I mean, Deficio, he joined the lineup, I think, 2 or 3 weeks prior to the LCS qualifiers, and of course, swapping up Yerksen for Koutsard. What ends up happening is this team that's been together for a very long time, I mean, they played under the WinFact run, many of them, many, many moons ago. They've got that depth of experience. They've had the competitive environment. They may not have been on stage under the lights with this much pressure before, but they've been in situations where they've had an inhibitor down. They've been in situations where they need to push a Baron. That was the team that had that lineup. Now, with having the substitute in there, you don't have that knowledge that, oh, I know that Godbro's going to go aggressive on the Baron, so Deficio knows he needs to throw his ultimates down, or, that 100% in-sync timing may not be there, but we know it will get there. They have 10 weeks of gaming ahead of them, and the timing, the practice regime, it's all going to be there.
And I really wonder how they're going about their practice as well, because it's a really hard thing to call. Do they practice now with this lineup for the relatively small amount of games that they're going to have with this lineup, or do they think about the bigger picture and have Bjergsen in there practicing? Because, as I said at the end of yesterday, this 10-week season is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You've got to think about the whole picture, about how you're not looking today or tomorrow, but towards week 5, week 7, week 10, because that's when it's really going to start getting down to it, where you're going to have to pick up some massive victories. Yes, getting off to a good start is never to be underestimated, but we see all the time in all different kinds of sports that the teams that lose in the early stage of a league aren't necessarily the teams that stay at the bottom.
That's it. Once you're behind, what it ends up setting is it removes all the pressure from you. There's no more lights. There's no more anticipation, as it were, because you're behind. So now it's up to you to make the changes. It allows you to go for cheese strategies. It allows you to go for things that are completely off the wall or out there. And the longer this league goes on, I think they were saying 27 or 28 games that these teams are going to play. You can go 1-2. You can go 0-4, 0-5. And not be out of it. How many times have you seen sports teams coming back in the mid to late season, bouncing back, maybe swapping out a player, maybe swapping out strategies, and just looking at things from a different light. So it's up to the Wolves to make it happen.
And to really turn that around on its head as well, these teams that have done so well at the start are by no means safe. We see that again, that one team can dominate for a whole season long, then this team starts creeping up from mid-table up towards that second, third spot in the league, and then it comes down to those final play days where they can really pip each other to that post. So no one's safe and no one's out. After all, we're in the second day of the European LCS here, so there's still plenty to be won and probably plenty to be lost as well. We're just right now waiting for EG to get themselves into the game. It looks like Copenhagen Wolves are setting themselves up and are ready to go with this one. Actually, EG have been here since, I think, before me. I think they arrived before me today on this one to get themselves warmed up.
Snoopy was saying, I think they got you at about 9 or 9:30 this morning. They were all huddled.
Definitely before me then.
They were all huddled around one of the computers, stratting it up, looking at replays, looking at videos, and really, really thinking about this. And again, just making sure that they're prepared for this game, prepared for this matchup.
Yeah.
They were saying yesterday that if anybody was having a look at the Facebook post, Snoopy said that they prepared the strat for Gambit Gaming. They prepared the strat. They planned so intensely. And during the picks and bans went, nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to go back to our old style. We're going to go back to an old comp and an old composition that we've run before. So all the planning in the world can be thrown out by one single pick in Champions Select, which was Udia yesterday.
That Udia, which in the end didn't really make that much of an impact, ironically enough. But that's really the important thing here, is how are EG going to come out? They're 1-0 up in the league, I should say. On paper, they're going to be looking at this game against Wolves, I hope not too overconfidently, but they will be looking on it with less of a strenuous approach as they would have against Gambit Gaming, because Gambit Gaming, they're their biggest rivals pretty much here in the European scene. Copenhagen Wolves, but we've seen them. They took down Millennium 2-0. They're a team that you can never, ever underestimate, however little experience they've got. However, with the fact that they've got that substitute in there, they are a dangerous team, and if you give them that inch, they may well just take the mile.
And this roster has actually come up against Evil Geniuses relatively recently at DreamHack Winter last year. The 2KM Cup, they fought in the semi-finals, and it was the first time that entire weekend where Evil Geniuses actually had to fight. They had to turn the pressure on. They lost the early game. They gave up first blood in both of the games. They were behind, 1,000, 2,000 gold. It was a small number, but the fact remains, the Wolves got the lead. They got the leg up. And if they can do that, time and time again and learn to convert that, get that advantage, get a ladder rung above your opponents and stay above them, it's going to help them out. But we'll have to see, does Evil Geniuses know how to deal with the puppies or the wolves, depending on which ones we're going to see today?
I think I called them toy poodles yesterday because they didn't look like wolves against SKG. I mean, I hope that a sleep has really helped them out and they've been able to talk about how they're going to approach this matchup. Let's talk a little bit about the key players on these teams because obviously you have for Evil Geniuses yesterday, Froggen. He got an Anivia. We always talk about it doesn't matter what composition you go in for, however good you think you can play against Anivia. Froggen's not a normal bird.
No, not at all. With some luck, we might be able to see that Froggen dance of his, which he's done from time to time. But something that we looked at, we touched on the metrics before the game and a little bit of a hype moment. Comparing the KDAs for a team that won, team that lost is not entirely fair. But a metric that is actually, something that you can look at. Average goal per minute. The Evil Geniuses were averaging 1,500 gold per minute as opposed to 1,200 gold per minute. So even though they were behind, even though the Wolves were defending the majority of the game, they were losing massive chunks of their jungle. They didn't compete for towers or dragons. They have kept up in the average CS. If you take 1 or 2 towers, you throw that in there, 1 or 2 dragons and some jungle creeps, it'll balance out that couple of hundred a minute. They're mechanically sound. They're at their level.
Definitely.
Individually, they have the ability to farm. They have the ability to play their champions. It's just this cohesion. It's just this teamwork that's going to differentiate them.
Yeah, and maybe that will lead them to, pick a different composition, which I think that's why the whole poke comp made more sense for Copenhagen Wolves yesterday, because individually you can do a lot more damage there than, if you go for that whole AoE CC heavy comp, then you really have to have the teamwork nailed down, because if you don't, someone's going to be out of position, someone's going to whiff an ulti or put their ulti down too quickly, and it's not all going to be in sync, and you're going to end up losing it. One thing that we should talk about is probably, or I say one person we should maybe talk about from Copenhagen Wolves is the test, because earlier on when we saw that video, which Demon was actually featured in quite a lot. One thing that he was saying a lot was the test.
Yeah.
You heard his name over and over and over again, that quadra kill. He featured so heavily in their qualification for Season 3, and he really has to step up again today.
Well, he has the ability. He can do it. That's the thing that's really great about these teams. They're the underdog team. You heard the players saying, nobody expected us to make it here. Nobody expected us to be in this roster, but we're here. And now they're going to start shining. In that little highlight reel, you've seen the Test getting a quadra kill with Ezreal. He played him so amazingly well. And I think if the Test manages to get Ezreal, it's definitely going to help them out. Off the bat, though, Anivia's banned out, and no one is surprised by that.
What a surprise. Anivia banned out there by Wolves. They're going to ban out Nidalee here. Evil Geniuses not really messing around. It looks like both teams are pretty set on what they want out from this game so far. There is a Lux taken out again. Aim towards Froggen.
Yep, exactly. Reddit has been awash with, I want to see Froggen Anivia, I want to see Froggen Lux. That was the two things that have been yelling and screaming, but they're both removed from the game. Xin Zhao has been removed as well, so that's either, the jungler. We've actually seen him in, I think I've seen Froggen running in the mid lane once or twice over the last couple of weeks as well, just experimenting and fiddling around with it. But, super, super powerful champion. Olaf, Kha'Zix, Shen, all still available.
Yeah, and the champions that I've been hearing on the grapevine, hanging around there, the likes of Zed, the likes of Jace, actually, for Froggen as well. I wonder if we're going to see them coming out. Olaf ban makes perfect sense. Kha'Zix the same. There is the Shen first lock-in. He was the one, really, that's left open. That leaves, though, other champions in there, like Elise, for example, who we've seen featured heavily. Will Wicked go for something like that, though?
We'll have to see what they decide to lock in, because now Evil Geniuses, they know that Shen's there. They know that there's going to be the potential of a split push. They know that there's going to be that Stand United coming in. So they're going to start thinking, do we want some global presence? Do we want the ability to jump around the map? And it's up to them to decide which strategy they want to implement. This first pick, you can see Caitlyn not really revealing anything just yet. She's sort of becoming the go-to AD carry at the moment. We've seen Caitlyn time and time again. The range, the damage, the tower poke, and the tower pressure she has is just absolutely insane.
And there is a Kayle pickup as well here for Evil Geniuses. I'm thinking that that's going to be for Froggen in the middle lane, to be honest with you. We know that Snoopy he tends to go for these tankier support-like junglers, the Amumus, the Maokais of the world. Kayle, not sure how comfortable he would be with that one, so I'm going to edge a bet and say that's maybe just Froggen in the middle for now. However, you know, it's Kayle after all. It could switch around in the top lane, in the mid lane, in the jungle, so still a lot left open there.
Well, the Copenhagen Wolves have got a difficult question that they need to answer now. Do they want to take Nunu? All right, because with locking in Caitlyn, the Caitlyn-Nunu is a combination that we've seen many, many times, and in this particular patch, 1.74, Nunu is still incredibly strong. His blood boil hasn't been hit yet. The reason I point that out, Deficio played a very good Nunu at the LCS qualifiers. He helped out in lane. They ran a Nunu-Ezreal combination, and they just stuck to you all day long. I believe that Zyra might even be for Karatard. They played an AP Zyra as well before, so it's not a guarantee that that's going to be support or mid. But again, not revealing their hands, not saying, look, this is what we're doing. But the Test has got his Ezreal.
He has got his Ezreal, and we'll see how he can put that one into action. Question is now, will EG say, right then, they've left that Nunu for us. Let's have it. Let's have that Caitlyn-Nunu composition. There is an Akali.
I got a big grin on my face. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to be locked in. Froggen is hovering over it for the minute. You can see them nodding and chatting for a second, and it is locked in. It is an Akali. So, Akali, potentially mid, potentially top, can go either lane, anywhere at the moment, but that was Froggen nodding. That was Froggen's face on camera going, yes, let's take Akali. So, are we going to see Froggen Akali now?
Or was he Froggen saying yes, Lulu?
Oh, that, very true. Very, very true. So Lulu's locked in as well. Great number of champions here. I'm just imagining a Akali jumping around with that wild growth on top of her, dashing back and forth. It's going to be a very scary thought.
Well, it looks like we are going to be seeing a mid-lane Zyra here. We can see that Sona is being hovered over by Deficio to go with that Ezreal. Obviously, when they're thinking about this Lulu Caitlyn lane, that heal from Sona is just a big thing to have in that lane against the others.
It's definitely going to play into their favor so much. Just out-sustain. They've got fairly good poke as well. I mean, Ezreal and Sona, very good poke. There's no sustain at all from that Lulu Caitlyn. So what's going to end up happening, any damage that they take, it's going to stick, you know, and it's going to be up to the Tess and Deficio to play very aggressive. If they don't play aggressive, they're going to be aggressive upon and spend all their time healing and defending. And once you start falling behind a Caitlyn, she's just going to land headshot after headshot after headshot and chunk you down. Key though here, Svenskeren does have Lee Sin, and he is very well known for his Lee Sin. He's a great player of the champion, and Lee is just motoring all over the place.
He is fantastic. If you're good with him, he can be an absolutely devastating jungler, and we know from past experience that Svenskeren definitely can play him as well. What are EG going to complement this lineup with now then? Caitlyn, Lulu, Akali, Kayle. There's a Twisted Fate coming out, so really interesting stuff now from EG. That it looks like that Kayle will be in the jungle with Snoopy, that we're going to see, I'm guessing, that Akali in the top lane and Twisted Fate then in the middle.
Yeah, that's the way I'm going to think about it right now. You can see Crepo having a bit of a discussion there with the team, talking about how they're going to play this one out. There's a minute possibility that Akali could even be in the jungle. It's not something that's seen all too often, but a number of times it has been there, but it is going to probably play out this way. And Snoopy playing that DPS jungler, a little bit out of what we're used to seeing him play. But I'm telling you, well, Evil Genius would not be playing this composition unless they have practiced it extensively.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing that we talked about moving into Season 3. Because we're on a new patch, because things have changed so much since Season 2, it's about who can adapt and, you know, almost the race to find the OP in a way. Because there is a learning curve. There are these champions that have been ignored for so long that people just randomly are going to try them 3 items, come in and say, wow, that actually is really, really amazing right now. So to see an Akali coming in here, that's great stuff. We saw a Volibear in that last game. I really love this kind of stuff, and that's what makes League of Legends, in my opinion, just an amazing game to watch right now.
I'm very interested to see how these compositions are going to play out, because if you've got an Akali that is even remotely fit, it's similar to a Katarina in the sense that even if you shut her down in lane, give her enough time or give her one good team fight, one triple kill is all it's going to take. And you're going to have a wild growth and an intervention to stick on top of that Akali. Unkillable, huge amount of HP, slow. It's a scary, scary, scary composition. Gambit Gaming showed us with the Renekton, the Volibear picks, stack that HP, just get very, very, very tanky and beefy, loads of HP to burn through, throw in Renekton's ultimate and he's got all that HP. That's their secret to OP right now. They showed it in the previous matchup. Will the Akali, Kale, Twisted Fate combo from Evil Geniuses be their version of the same spell?
Well, we're going to find out. Here we go. It's Copenhagen Wolves versus Evil Geniuses here. Copenhagen Wolves, of course, on the blue side. Evil Geniuses taking the red side from this. Are we going to expect, though, Trevor, any level 1 action?
Well, I'm not too sure about the level 1 right now. You've got two very powerful, AoE type of crowd controls. The Grasping Roots from Kautar's Zyra, and of course the Glitter Lance from Crepo's Lulu. So they have the possibility to put some CC in place. I don't know if they're going to do it, though. You've got the Nigar Bro Shadow Dash Taunt if he decides to open it up and, taunt people up, get that damage reduction in place. You can see them setting up at the red buff. I think they're going to play it passive and play it defensive. It's a bit too risky to commit all in because you have to maybe, pick spells that you wouldn't normally pick in lane.
Well, EG, they're 1-0 currently in LCS. They don't want to give that away. They want to finish today, or at least finish this game, with a 2-0. Obviously, they're playing later as well. For Copenhagen Wolves, this is probably an important one for their confidence more than anything. If they can go 1-1, maybe even more importantly than that scoreline, beating EG, that gives them this whole confidence boost moving forward in the season. We do have a pause, as you saw there, so that's why we're not in the game. Actually, one of the players just saying sec from Copenhagen Wolves, so hopefully that's not something too serious, and we should be able to get right back underway.
Well, credit has to be given to the Wolves at the moment for how they played yesterday against SK Gaming. Let's be very honest. They were beaten, and it was a deserved win for SK, but there was a number of things that happened. SK kept trying to find opportunities. They kept trying to find ways to make the Wolves slip up. Looking for opportunities, looking for chinks in the Wolves' armor. SK couldn't find any chinks, which is why the game dragged on for so long. Yeah, the Wolves, didn't really react or put themselves in a position where they could win, but they didn't over-aggress. They didn't make more mistakes. So their only mistake yesterday was playing too passively, ironically. If they'd tried to make some plays, SK could have either capitalized and won quicker, or, they could have picked themselves back up and maybe fought themselves back into the game. So you can see by this defensive start, even with probably a superior level 1 team, they're playing careful, they're playing defensive. They don't want to risk it or give it away just yet.
Well, we can see EG right now are stacking up on this bottom side of the map. And the ping's going down off towards blue. And I was actually talking to EG, to Snoopy specifically before this game, and I told him I wouldn't reveal this one too early for him, but they talked about a later invade on towards that red buff, and it looks like that is the kind of thing that EG are going to go for here. They've got 4 men on that bottom side. They've got Akali, this single man in this top side. There is a ward in this brush, which is obviously going to give their position away. The question is, can Copenhagen Wolves actually react to this one within the time frame?
I imagine they're probably not in a position to do so right now, and they would be thinking, look, we know they're there, we know they're going to take the red buff. You can see the tri-word, or the Wraith's ward just slightly above that red bush, which Froggen's just going to step over right now. So they're going to know that that's being stolen, and Svenskeren immediately going to reply, most likely going to come and steal the opposing red buff. So they end up trading buffs. The problem is if he takes too long, he could be in trouble. As we jump into the pause, I was looking at the items very, very quickly, and both of our top laners, both Wicked and Godbro, starting with a Brilliance Pot and Potions. So neither of them going for an item, but they're going for that statistical advantage, that HP and that attack damage for early on.
Yeah, and we've seen how it could actually be in terms of how important those pots and more specifically the elixirs can really be going forward. So we'll see how that works out in the top lane. Not sure exactly. They did just say something in chat there, which they said didn't say anything during the previous pause, which I'm not really sure what that means actually from Kautar there. But obviously we do have the admins on stage to fix any possible problems that could be going on there with the team. So they'll be on that as soon as they possibly can. But interesting early start here. Red buff taken away by EG. That was given over to Snoopy. Right now, Svenskeren is on the EG red buff. And we'll see if they're able to do anything about that one. It looks like we're just going to see an early 1-for-1 trade on the the buffs.
That's most likely what's going to happen. The question is whether or not Evil Geniuses want to respond to it. They're going to know that Svenskeren going to go for the red. They know he's got Lee Sin. They know that he has the capabilities of taking that red. So there's no wards from Evil Geniuses on their own red buff, which would indicate to me that they might just let the steal go by. They might not try challenge it. However, if Frog and Snoopy, start to collapse in on that red buff, maybe get a gold card down, they could potentially secure first blood. We will see how that plays out once the game unpauses, because right now it's all speculation. Let's have a look at the rest of the items right now. Both junglers starting with Hunter's Machete. Mid laners, you've got the Crystalline Flask on Zyra and just Boots Pots on Twisted Fate. So nothing exciting really outside of those Brilliance Pots for both of our top liners.
Yeah, the AD carries though. A little bit of difference between them. Doran's Blade start for Ezreal. Obviously can really afford it. He's got that sustain with the Doran's Blade now, of course, but with the Sona in lane, Longsword and Pots coming out for Caitlyn. And you can see there both the supports with the Biscuits. And there's a pink ward actually for Lulu as well, as EG do come down into this bottom lane. You can see that Svenskeren is already happily taking away that red buff.
And as I was saying, they didn't have a ward. We just hovered over Svenskeren for a brief second. He was standing on top of the Evil Geniuses ward, so I couldn't see it on the minimap, but they had full vision. They knew it was being taken, and they did try to just gently poke out that bottom lane, and Crepo just took a little bit of poke. So Wicked chilling in the top lane in the grasses. He's waiting for something to happen, waiting for this gank. Nothing, it's not surprising. It's Lee Sin. You expect him to go for a very early, low-level gank because he is so fantastic at doing that.
Yeah, and obviously that Shroud going to be a big thing actually for Wicked in there. Obviously you can avoid a lot of danger when you're invisible, when no one can really get you locked down. This bottom lane though, going to be an interesting one. Lulu, Caitlyn, a lot of pushing power. Sona on the other hand with Ezreal, they've got a lot of sustain in that one, so we'll see who can force the other opposition's lane out there, as Wicked actually going fairly low here in this top lane, but he's turned it around, put the Ignite down. You saw him edging closer to Nigod Bro, but in the end decides, okay, probably shouldn't push my luck too much.
Yeah, just hanging around out there using that Shroud. Don't forget when it's up, he also gets a magic resistant armor bonus as well to reduce some of the damage, but it's not going to be a lot of abilities from the Copenhagen Wolves. Zyra, a lot of AoE damage. Shen, he's got a taunt. He's going to have to blindly guess where it goes, but if it catches her, she's going to attack and come out of the Shroud. So there's a lot of ways that they can deal with it. Both of the junglers moving up into this top lane now. We'll see whether or not either of them are going to go for this gank, because both do have the red buff. I think Svenskeren may just be hanging around to defend Godbro if he gets jumped.
Yeah, right now Godbro is going to start to go in on towards Wicked, and well, Snoopy may have just shown his hand a little bit too early in that one. Either way, you've got that taunt, and the thing is, if they'd have waited for that to come out onto Wicked at the start, that could have been a very different outcome. Of course, Shen does have a flash available, as does Akali as well, so that shouldn't be too big of a problem. But Snoopy coming in there already making his presence felt with his Kale.
Both champions in the top lane have used their Fortitude pot already, burned their just healing potion as well, and I'm going to see if either of them are going to recall, but it was a really good Shadow Dash taunt. Svenskeren and Snoopy are now poking back and forth in the river. Sven's going to dive forward with the Resonating Strike, carries on chasing with the red buff, but once Wicked joins the party, Sven realizes he's not really going to be able to pick that fight because Godbro does not have the HP for that engagement.
Yeah, good decision, I think, overall, from both sides to be backing away from that one. Froggen in the middle is actually currently leading in the CS 32-26. Snoopy going very low there. I heard the health ping, wondering where that was. But, he's got the heal. He's Kale after all, staying safe. But now we see Svenskeren actually coming around on the back of Froggen, who's got the stun card pulled up. We'll just put the damage down onto Svenskeren and say, no, son, you're not getting in here for that first blood.
It's such a great scene when you see Froggen stepping back, cycling through the cards, picks the gold card, and he's almost taunting Svenskeren. Come on, just dive me, land your Q, you want to, and just stun them up under the tower. But Svenskeren realizes that the risk is too high and starts to back away. So 5 minutes in, we've seen a little bit of jungle pressure, a little bit of presence from both of these teams. No first blood yet. However, Shen starting to fall behind in the CS. He's already gone back to pick up that Ruby Crystal. And of course, spending the time out of lane from taking so much damage means he's losing a little bit. He has evened it up with this big wave though, so it makes me eat my words as I'm saying them.
And we see actually Wicked going back there. Look at that pickaxe buy straight out with those wards, or I say wards, ward, and the pots as well. Spirit Stone picked up for Snoopy. What do we have in the middle? Merc Treads first buy straight out there for Twisted Fate. That's an interesting choice from Froggen right off the bat.
Really does not want to get held down by those snares, longer than he absolutely needs to. I imagine he's approaching level 6 as well, so we're probably going to see, that ghost flash movement-based ganks just to get in and around the map. And look at the amount of wards in the hands of Wicked, Snoopy, and Froggen. I've just had a quick look at Wicked's runes. He has 37 ability power from his rune pages, plus that pickaxe, bumps his attack damage to 112, allows him to get both of those disciplines up, the spell vamp and all the bonus attack damage, and it's a super powerful Akali already without any other items.
And without being fed, which you never know how that could go down. A Snoopy here just put a ward down on towards the enemy blue. There is a ward by the Tribush area which will actually spot him there. It was just pinged. I think that was Snoopy communicating. Pretty sure there's a ward there. I'm just going to be wasting my time if I do come up towards that top lane. Svenskeren also hanging around in the middle. Bottom lane, we can see pretty even up until now. The CS hovering around about 2 to 3 different at any given moment. And there are wards down as well to give position. But like you said, Twisted Fate, now that he's up to level 6, we are going to be seeing Froggen getting involved on the action.
And, there's so much burst potential from Akali up in the top lane and a lot of crowd control potential. Gold card, I was saying it in the previous matchup that with a Twisted Fate, you need to have that hard CC. You need to have something that you can rely on. And, we'll see how Froggen does decide to use it. And I wish our cameraman the best of luck, because following a Twisted Fate Destiny is always a pain in the butt in these early levels.
Yeah, certainly going to be zipping around there. But we say that, we've seen Twisted Fates that haven't really been able to get that involved in the action. It depends how the other lanes are playing. I mean, if they stay very defensive, it's hard to commit there with a Twisted Fate. You're going to have to rely on the jungler to be in that similar position as well to really commit to those fights. But that bottom lane has also kind of pushed out quite a long way. Obviously, they do have that heal in there. They are hard to lock down because of that crescendo for the...
It's very close to your side of the river, because Twisted Fate will need to move through one of them. You can see by the wraiths, for example, on Froggen's side of the map, there is a Copenhagen Wolves ward. It's going to allow the top lane to know when Froggen's coming up. As soon as he stepped out of the lane to pick up the blue buff, Cowtard was spamming those pings at him. There was 3 or 4 pings on his route towards blue buff, so the bottom lane was completely aware of it. And approaching 10 minutes, CS is about as even as it's going to be. Wolves are doing very well. They're keeping up. They haven't lost behind, but let's be honest, they haven't made any big plays either.
No, not just yet, and we know that Evil Geniuses as a team should be stronger. They should be stronger on paper, but, well, I just don't know fully what to expect from Copenhagen Wolves, to be honest with you. We've seen both sides of them when you look towards their brilliant performance at the LCS qualifiers. They're not so amazing performance yesterday, let's call it, against SK Gaming, who completely outclassed them. EG are on that level, and it's going to be a very hard game, but with a good start, with a couple of kills, I say early on, we're already up to 10 minutes without any kill, but relatively early on, they certainly have a good chance in this game. And
you know what, the games that we've been seeing have been a lot slower paced than what we've been used to out of some of the other tournaments, Teams are still trying to find their groove and find what are we willing to do. These are the second games for both of these teams, so they don't want to throw everything out there in a super crazy dash that doesn't work out for them. Both of these bottom lanes approaching the 100 CS mark. Neither of them have recalled just yet, so no additional damage items have been picked up or collected, and neither have our top laners. They've been there for a while, and Wicked is slowly starting to creep ahead in terms of CS, 81 to 62. And Akali that's, either free-farmed or fed is equally terrifying. And they're going to need to do something to shut Wicked down, because if he gets, a snowball rolling, you're not going to be able to stop it before it becomes a snow boulder. If I can go there.
An avalanche.
An avalanche. That's a better one. That's a better one. I was just spending too much time with Jason and his puns.
So, as you said, good 24 CS lead currently in the top lane. Jungle's really even, middle lane's really even. bottom lane's within 1 CS. Like, that's crazy stuff. For Snoopy actually is going to come in. Cowtard maybe in a little bit of trouble. We are going to see the ulti come down. That will knock Snoopy out, but Froggen is going to come around with the Destiny. Here comes Stan United. Can they turn it around? The grasping root, not quite enough range to lock down Snoopy. But a lot of summoner spells used in that one.
And fantastic play by Cowtard. He got caught out. He was just a little bit overextended, you know, just past the halfway mark in that lane. As soon as he seen Snoopy coming out, started to back away. It was a flash gold card from Froggen to try and set that up. But his Stranglethorns rather, knocked everybody up in the air, bought enough time for Godbro to get there with Stand United, and Cowtard gets away with his life, preventing first blood. Something that we haven't pointed out or mentioned just yet, Cowtard running flash teleport with Zyra. So not only do they have the teleport or that global presence of Stand United, they also have a teleport in their back pocket.
Yeah, that could become really, really dangerous if you can get in there. Land those roots as Wicked now facing a little bit of trouble in this top lane. He's taking a hit from the tower as well as he flashes over, but Svenskeren is coming in. Can he land the Q? No, shrouded away, but Wicked is now out in the open, in the middle of nowhere. Where's he going to go? Excellent move in there onto the ward, and Wicked is going to die. There is first blood coming down for Svenskeren.
Awesome play from Svenskeren, just flying across the map. The Dragon's Rage kick into the Akali ulti. I mean, she dashed across like half of that lane in a split second.
Yeah.
But very, very good map awareness and knowledge from Svenskeren. He flashed over the wall. It's a big flash as well. Closed the gap, got onto Wicked, and secured first blood. And a champion like Lee Sin as well, it's also a snowball champion, somebody you don't want to give items or gold to, because once they get ahead, they can stay ahead.
Yeah, we already see that Wriggles Lantern out of Svenskeren, helping him on his way to victory, possibly. That's maybe a little bit cut earlier to call it that one, but this is certainly, I mean, yesterday, I don't think we can really honestly call any upsets yesterday. I mean, Evil Geniuses, the way that they beat Gambit Game was probably not expected, but the result in itself was not an upset. So this could maybe be our first upset. We're 16, no, we're not at 16, I can't even read now. 13 and a half minutes into it. Now, it's only 1 kill gone down. There are no turrets right now. EG are still in the lead in the gold as well. So there's a long, long way to go. And just the way that EG play generally, you could never count them out, as we are going to see Twisted Fate ulting in.
Destiny gold card lands onto the test. He gets stunned up. The wild cards are there, but take a look at the barrier. That's going to prevent a lot of damage as Crepo's going to go down. The grasping Stranglethorns picks up a kill. Teleport from Cowtard. He saves the team. It was available. Saved them from the Destiny, and thank goodness the test took barrier, because if he didn't, he probably would have gone down there.
Yeah, and there you see the real need to counter a Twisted Fate with a teleport from that middle lane. You see him moving away, you have to follow him up there, and they turn that one down brilliantly. The question is now, can they defend this middle turret? There are 4 minions there. That's going to be, well, 3 turret hits now, as Svenskeren will in the end manage to force them away. Cowtard had come back into this middle lane as well, but what a start here for Copenhagen Wolves. They are now ahead in the gold after taking down that first tower of the game. Looks like EG just securing this blue buff here. Don't want it to get stolen away. Svenskeren actually coming across there a little bit too late. Not quite going to land the Q onto Snoopy, and he was full HP anyway to going on, but promising stuff early on from the Wolves.
Absolutely great play. That's what we were saying at the beginning of this matchup. Individually speaking, these players are fantastic. I mean, you're seeing it there. That was a gank setup on Wicked that got them first blood. A reaction to Froggen's Destiny with the teleport allowed them to secure the second kill of the game. Now what Wolves need to do is they need to extend this lead further. They need to pick up more kills and give themselves this cushion of safety. You know, buy themselves an item lead, buy themselves a farm lead. As you see on the bottom lane, Yellow Peak goes very, very low. But True Shot Barrage had been used to farm, so the test can't pick up the kill with that one. And if the Wolves can get this item advantage, it allows them to make some mistakes in team fights and get away with it. You know, if you misstep and you have an item lead, you can still survive and win the fight, assuming you have that lead.
Yeah, and I think that's the dangerous thing, though, against CG, because I don't think you can give an inch to them in this. You've got to beat them so convincingly, because on the back foot, they're maybe even stronger, you know, being down, EG, than they are being in the lead. We know that they take their time to finish off games, but they're one of the best stall teams out there right now in League of Legends. So we'll have to see how Wolves go forward with that lead that they've got, as Wicked again is going to get pressured in the top, not quite landing the Shadow Dash there onto him. That could have spelled trouble with Svenskeren in the area.
So close. Good direction, good aim on that dash, but it just wasn't enough. At the 16-minute mark, 2 kills to 1 and a turret down, Evil Geniuses are even on gold. They are bang on even. 30 CS lead advantage for Wicked. He's working towards probably that gunblade of his. You can see the scimitar and an amplifying tome. And he's got a 600 gold advantage over his lane opponent. It's a massive, massive number right now. So, they're keeping it even. Kaltard is going to try pick a bit of a fight here with Snoopy, and Snoopy's not coming off in a very good position. That little vine is bashing away. And you got to think, was it a bait for Froggen to come in from the side?
Well, it certainly could have turned into that one, but luckily for Kautar, I say luckily, I mean, that was obviously calculated. It didn't push in any more than he needed to. They've taken Snoopy down, which can leave that smite out of the equation, especially since he actually just used it on the Wolves, and we are going to see that dragon go down. Meanwhile, though, Froggen is going to come into this top lane, but that was round about the most uncoordinated gank I've seen from EG. However, one thing good coming out of that, they've forced him out of the lane and they're going to get the turret.
They are. Copenhagen Wolves did secure the dragon, so they've traded dragon for tower, but a beautiful and mid turret. So the Wolves are going to be probably very happy with that trade. Maybe if they keep the pressure on and take this in and turret, that's going to be even better for them. Copenhagen Wolves are going huge right now. They have 4 members on this middle turret. It's going to go down before Wicked can get you. Down to the last minion. Copenhagen Wolves traded a kill and a mid tower. Not even a kill, just the top tower for 2 of them. Absolutely fair trade any day of the week.
Yeah, they totally won out in that situation. Dragon for the 2 middle turrets. Dragon for the 2 middle turrets is just a perfect trade-off for them. They'll say, well, you have that turret. That was just an amazing move out of Copenhagen Wolves. That's one of the things that could help them secure this game. I'm going to keep that disclaimer with the word could in there, probably until they actually kill the Nexus, because that's how a team that's EGR. If you look at the gold, even with that 3-2 lead in the turrets with the dragon down, it's still super, super close on gold. 400 gold only, the lead. If we look overall there, 6.2 to 5.8 in the middle lane, 6-1 to 6-170, actually in favor of Yellow Pete in that bottom lane between the 2 AD carries. Top lane, Wicked is ahead by 500, mostly because of that farm lead that he's got there. So, a really, really interesting game up until now that's, still can go any which way.
Yeah, that's so true. The capabilities are there for the Copenhagen Wolves to pick up a victory and to, cause that upset, but they need to make it happen. They've got the champions that have to go in there. Lee Sin, Shen, they need to dive. They need to get into the fight and engage and hope that that ultimate from Zyra will buy them enough crowd control time to really, really wreak havoc on the back line. We've got a very interesting build coming out of Froggen. It's one that's been fairly popular over on the Korean, the OGN tournaments, things like that. Twin Shadows. You pop those little ghosts, as you're running down a lane, or as soon as you land with your destiny. Pop the shadows, you get a slow, then you put the gold card for a stun. It's just so much crowd control. Even though it's not hard CC like a snare or a stun, it can only help you out and just really allow Caitlyn, Kale, and Akali to stick to their targets even more effectively.
Yeah, we saw it, I think, Intel Extreme Masters Brazil, that Twisted Fate with the Twin Shadows as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, as you said, becoming a lot more popular build. We can see the Gunblade is now finished for Wicked, but that may not be enough to help him out here. He's in a little bit of trouble. Twisted Fate, though, is going to get involved. There's a crescendo coming over. Froggen's actually off at the side. Wicked is going to fall here to Svenskeren, and the teleport coming in from Zyra. Where are the Strangled Thorns? The root not quite landing, but Svenskeren's in there. Strangled Thorns won't get the knockup, but Godbro is not finished here. He's actually going to get himself killed in the end as Kautar gets stunned up and they turn it around here. That is a massive play coming out of EG despite the situation not going their way at the start.
Yellow Pete and Froggen dodged absolutely everything that they needed to dodge in that engagement. They ended up trading 2 for 2, but that should not have been 2 kills for the Copenhagen Wolves. They should not have given them up. I mean, they had such a great engagement. They jumped into Akali. They forced her out of the fight early. Wild Growth bought us some time to stay alive a little bit longer, and it allowed the Evil Geniuses to refocus form around that battle and just, carry on engaging. But Kautzard caught, up a creek without a paddle because he was so far away from the rest of his teammates that a gold card from Froggen and that Bloodthirster static shiv just chunked away his HP. Great fight for Evil Geniuses to pull it back, but the Wolves, you got to think, how close could it have been? If that was a 3-0, 4-0, 3-0, 4-0, how different would this game be?
Yeah, mid turret went down there as well, so that levels us up in turrets. That gives EG a 1,400 gold lead right now. It's a solid lead from this point. See, AD carry slightly ahead, mid lane slightly ahead, jungle slightly ahead, top lane more than slightly ahead, around about 40 CS currently. That is a really important lead from. We can see that Gunblade in there now got in towards the giant spell, got that Ruby Crystal, so probably just going to head straight up towards the Warmox.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Going to be able to just chase, dive, stick to their targets with the active on that Gunblade. You can see Froggen is sneaking around the back of the test. The gold card is primed. Arcane Shift's going to come out, gets stunned up, misses the Mystic Shot, and the test is going to go down. Not before Stand United comes out, though. He throws out the True Shot Barrage, and that might actually hit Wicked if he carries on, but no, it just goes over the head of Shen. You could see it on the mini-map. But a good kill for EG. Textbook. Land the gold card, land the damage, and easily done.
Yeah, real textbook, like you said. See the Ghost just coming out there, actually towards Svenskeren. Look at the damage there. Twisted Fate and Caitlyn, two champions putting out such a high amount of damage at this point, and that's the Svenskeren who's got plenty of health. He's got the Aegis in there as well. See the EG actually pushing in towards that inner turret in the middle lane. They've had the bottom turret bottom inner turret away as well. So again, they're behind on the kills, but they're ahead in gold, they're ahead in turrets. They're showing their class at this point. Yeah, they're just complete.
I said this yesterday as well. Playing the map. They lost the individual matchups. I'm going to go out on a limb and say in the middle, the bottom lane rather. Great ganks, counter ganks coming out of the Copenhagen Wolves. Oh, a beautiful Shadow Dash taunt there to actually block the ace in the hole there from Caitlyn. And as soon as it comes to the team game, as soon as the towers are down and you need to start roaming as 3 and as 4. Evil Geniuses, they just know how to react. They know where they should be. They know which advantages they can take. And you could see it by pushing those lanes and those towers down. And they now have a 4-3 tower advantage.
Looking really, really strong at this point. Let's have a look at the items once again. Between those two AD carries, we said earlier on, Static Shift plus a Bloodthirster for Caitlyn has now added a second BF sword into, or another BF sword into that one. On the other side, you've got Ezreal, Bloodthirster, the makings of an Infinity Edge by the looks of things here. Obviously, that could still change. You might end up going Last Whisper in there first, and then the and then the BF Sword somewhere else. The middle lane, Rabadon's Death Cap on Zyra. That's pretty much it for her. And on the other side, Twin Shadows plus that Lich Bane. Great, great start to the game for Froggen in terms of the item build, as we see EG taking away a dragon.
Yeah, taking themselves that Drake, just giving them the gold advantage, now pushing it even further to 4,000. Up in the top lane, Froggen is just pushing down this tower. He lands the stun. He's not really even focusing on Godbro. He just wants to try to get the advantages as best as he can, and he's just going to start to back away. With a split pushing Twisted Fate against, a split pushing Shen that's behind, that is unable to defend, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Copenhagen Wolves to contain Evil Geniuses, because what they're going to do is barrel down the lane as 4. Even if they pick a fight with Wild Growth and with Intervention, a 4 versus 5 and those spells, it's going to be like fighting 5v5, it's going to give them that power boost that they need to overpower a potential 5-man team, with that Stand United shield, for example.
Yeah, and that's the real hard choice from Copenhagen Wolves as well. Where do they focus in? Yes, you want Caitlyn out there, but like you said, you've got Intervention to keep her alive for most of that. Do you go to Snoopy, try and take him out, make him use that ultimate on himself? But then Caitlyn the entire time is hammering away on you anyway. So it's a really hard one to call. You're going to have Wicked dashing straight to the back line, trying to completely take the test out of the fight. And yes, he can Arcane Shift away, but when he does that, he's not involved in the fight.
Yeah, also true. And if he does Arcane Shift away, that's, a very high cooldown. Akali's just going to dash again. She has 3 of them, and she gets 1 back, whenever champions die, etc., gets a kill or an assist. So dash, dash, dash. Once these team fights start happening, it's that reset mechanic that we've seen out of Katarina, out of Kha'Zix over the last month or two, in a slightly different form, of course, because you need to get the, those charges up to begin with. But such a powerful champion, such a great mobility in team fights, and it's difficult to stick on that. Yellow Pete, wow, doing a lot of damage with that ace in the hole. He's almost got his Infinity Edge up as well, and has still not upgraded his boots. Neither Crepo nor Yellow Pete have gone tier 2 boots at 25 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just showing that right now a lot of players choosing to go elsewhere rather than getting up towards those tier 2 boots. Look at Akali's build in there as well. That Warmogs is now finished. Sorcerer's Shoes as well for that extra magic pen. So really strong Akali. I mean, it's 0-2-0, but the farm alone is keeping him ahead of the curve.
Yeah, 8,300 gold to 6,700 of Shen. I mean, that's just on CS alone. You've got a dragon in there, you've got towers in there as well, which is going to be helping out, but really, really powerful position to be in. Froggen is now working towards probably his Rabadon's death cap, maybe the Hourglass. We'll see what that Needlessly Large Rod becomes. But, you know, the ability power, stacking it with the Lich Bane, he's going to be hitting even harder now to start evening out that ability power damage that Cowtard is putting down.
Fantastic performance from EG that just proves, I mean, we see it time and time again that kills aren't everything. Kills are really not everything at this level of the game. Those global objectives being more important. I mean, you can fall a decent, I wouldn't want to say a good amount of kills behind and still have it, but you know, you can keep those kills within a limit and still be ahead in the game. And EG, they're still behind on those kills technically, but you know, look where they fall. 3-0-0 on Caitlyn. Got a good amount of farm. He's actually technically behind on that farm, but on the across the board for EG, that is where their real strong point is right now. We are seeing, however, Copenhagen Wolves looking for their 4th turret of the game, which could come from this middle lane as we are, top lane, as we are going to see the test being jumped on here. Froggen coming in as well. Shen's not even going to get the chance to get his Stan United finished, and that will be a very dead test. And you can't get caught out like that.
No, you cannot. I have to give props to Wicked, though. I was watching the minimap as that engagement started. Wicked was running down the lane. He used the Shadow Dash onto a minion, then a second Shadow Dash onto another minion, then a flash into Gunblade before the third and final Shadow Dash could land onto Ezreal. He blew every single mobility and movement spell he had available to catch on the test. Baron has been started. It's gone very, very low and secured by Evil Geniuses. Will they turn onto the Wolves?
Well, we've got Wicked coming here. Strangle Thorns are going to go down, not really getting the effect that they wanted from that one as Froggen has a stun card pulled. It will land in onto Negod Pro. Can they finish him off though? He's going to Shadow Dash away from that one. A great route comes out, but Froggen gets the card out. Going to finish off there at the end. Deficio has to flash away. That won't be enough to keep him alive. There's the Kale ultimate coming out just in time to save Wicked, and EG again will pick up a 2-for-0.
And the Baron, an absolutely brilliant play. The crescendo absolutely missed. This isn't over yet as the Test goes forward, and look at the damage onto him. The Test thought he was going to pick up kills into Yellow Pete and Wicked, and just got shut down once the Akali burst landed.
Yeah, and you can see the Test down there in the left-hand side of your screen. Kind of just looked to his teammates, and I don't think he quite expected that amount of damage to come his way. He's like, got this one, I'm the cleanup crew, boys. Oh, not, I'm actually dead. It was just not the best thing that could have ever happened there to the Test. And that leaves EG then 7-4 in the lead. 46,000 to 38,000. We're almost 30 minutes in. They are looking very good to go 2-0.
Yeah, so strong right now. Evil Genius is showing that, you know, they fell a little bit behind in the lane, and let's be honest, they weren't even that far behind. It was a tiny bit of gold just on CS alone, and how well Wicked was playing in that top lane. It kept them, you know, even in terms of gold, in terms of that metric. But that, you know, engagement, that whole fight, it went so well for Evil Geniuses. They landed every ability that they needed to. The second Wicked got kicked by Lee Sin's ulti and knocked him backwards. The intervention was there. It blocked the turret hit. It blocked the damage from the Dragon's Rage. It was so well done. The timing was impeccable. There's no other way to put it.
And we talk about the stability issue that a lot of teams have in terms of rosters. It affects some of the top teams, if not all, most of them, definitely not all of them. That's kind of my point here, that EG have had this lineup for so long. And when it comes to that teamwork aspect of the game, they're usually right on the point. Sure, it can't happen 100% of the time, but generally we see that these lineups that have been together for so long, the Gambit Gamings, the EGs, when it comes to the teamwork aspect of the game, they are right on top of it. As we see here, Crepo with that Oracle Elixir on, just moving his way around, actually just stuck a pink ward right on top of that one that Copenhagen Wolves had put down. And they are still pushing out. And this is what Snoopy said earlier. You mentioned it, that they said, we're not going to try and finish off a game when we absolutely know that we can. You know, we have to get to that point where we can say this is 100% us. And that's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to push all these lanes out.
And they're doing very well at it. You can see every single lane for Evil Geniuses has those red minions on the Copenhagen Wolf side of the map as the middle inner turret just goes down without even being challenged. Now, the Wolves, they weren't in a position, and this is what happened to them yesterday at SK. They were on the back foot, they were defending, and they just didn't know how to create those opportunities. They didn't know how to push out, and that's what they're going to need to learn to do. When you are behind, how do you dig deep? How do you pull an Evil Geniuses and stall long enough to pick your engagements? A very important moment is going to be landing your skill shots. That crescendo from Deficio, if they can lock up Caitlyn or Akali for a couple of seconds and get all of the burst onto them, they can maybe turn the tides of one or two of these fights.
Thing is, their composition, I'm not sure that they've got enough to really hold this one out. Yeah, you've got the crescendo, you got the Stranglethorns to go down there, but is it really gonna be enough? I mean, look at Akali, massive amounts of damage, massive amounts of health as well in there with that Warmogs. You've got the intervention, the ultimate out of Kayle to keep anyone alive who does maybe get caught that little bit too far out of position. You've got Twisted Fate, who, if Froggen does anything like we saw in that last game from Alex Ich, you know, he just went to the back. It's like they've got a scary front line with that Akali. They don't have time to really keep tabs on Twisted Fate because Akali's dashing around there, and Twisted Fate can just get into the back and catch him by surprise. We've just seen a big health spike coming out as well for Evil Geniuses. There's Warmogs on Caitlyn, Warmogs on Kayle, obviously the one earlier as well being picked up by Akali. And that's not good news for Copenhagen Wolves, I'm afraid. That's just outright Warmogs. They didn't have any of the ingredients prior to that. They just went in, straight in, picked that one up. You've got another giant spelt on Akali, so most likely going to become something along the lines of a Sunfire Cape. We'll see what Wicked decides to build that into. But again, 33 minutes into the game, Yellow Pete and Crepo are so far ahead in terms of items and their build. They still haven't even upgraded their boots to tier 2. I'd like to see something like a Mikhail's Crucible coming out for one of them, getting the ability to remove, you know, that hard CC from the Crescendo, from the Grasping Roots, from the Taunt from Shen. You know, there's a lot of CC that could spell doom for one of their players, one of their champions, and it would be a great pickup just to help them get through the amount of CC that the Wolves can put down. But truthfully, they're so far ahead, they don't really need that right now. Once again, we see Evil Geniuses pushing those lanes out top. He's been pushed through by Twisted Fate. Snoopy with Kayle went down into that bottom lane to push through from that side, and Caitlyn is in that middle lane. You can see the wildcards pretty much doing their job right now, and taking out an entire wave all on their own. We've seen Zyra actually picking up the Zhonya's Hourglass Sona, also getting Oracles right now, so they're trying desperately to regain a bit of vision on their side of the map. The problem is it's a little bit too late. You know, they needed that Oracles earlier. Get rid of the vision, get rid of the map presence that Evil Geniuses had, and then try to make some plays. So, you know, when you're sitting 12, 13,000 gold down, it's going to be so difficult to come back. And the fact that those Warmogs are on the squishy, the champions you're going to jump onto, you know, if they decide to focus Twisted Fate, focus Froggen, he's going to say, hey, I'm happy with that. I don't mind you killing me, because you're going to have 3,000 HP carries in the form of Kayle, Akali, and Caitlyn that you're not going to have anything left to take them out with. And, you know, we've seen it time and time again. The later these matches go, if you can convincingly win a team fight, it spells certain doom for the opposition. Yep, we're already 34 minutes, 20 seconds into this one. 57.8 to 45,000 gold. Need Baron up in around about 10 seconds time, so not really much time at all for Copenhagen Wolves to really adjust to this positioning. We can see that the Oracle was picked up by Wicked, perfectly timed as Krepo's actually ran out there. Now we can see Froggen doing his damage onto this bottom lane. Nicely done here, as we are going to see that team fight kick off.
Svenskeren gets caught out a little bit, but he does manage to get to safety. A very nice Stranglethorns from Kautar comes down. True Shot Barrage goes across the top of them, and Snoopy's force very, very low, but neither Wild Growth nor intervention was used, and they just start to back off. That was almost everything that the Copenhagen Wolves have to throw. Frog and Zonya's, that's Frog and Zonya outglassing from Godbro just to prevent the taunt. I don't think it was even necessary, to be very honest with you. And the rest of the Wolves carry on the pressure in the mid lane.
I mean, they've done a good job there, Wolves. I'm actually forcing EG away, stopping them taking that Baron, at least for now. The problem that they have is that Shen's going to be down in that bottom lane. One thing that EG might struggle with here is the fact that Froggen is not technically in range just now to get right up towards that Baron pit. Of course, he has Ghost. He could even flash if he really wants that extra bit of time to get in there, that extra bit of speed to get into the situation. But that could come back to haunt him. You can see him in the bottom on the minimap there, just kind of hanging back, going up through the jungle. EG are once again in position, waiting for them to come in. Here we go. Twisted Fate Ultimate is going to come down. He is going to get right in there, but actually they don't manage to get anything off. Shen is going to come into the middle of the fight. Stranglethorns won't really do much. He knocked Kale up, but I don't think that's going to be enough, as we are going to see Wicked going very low, but the ult is piling in right on top of him. He will flash over, takes out the test. They're dropping like flies. Kautar and Svenskeren, the only two left alive. Good Zonyas, that'll only buy him a little bit of time as Krepo secures the kill onto Kautar, and that will be a 4-0. And look at the health of EG. Look at the health of them after that fight.
So well done. That Stranglethorns from Zyra, it did one thing very well. It did separate the Evil Geniuses members, so it threw everybody aside. The problem for them was the intervention from Kale. It saved Wicked's Akali. They jumped onto him. They blew Crescendo, True Shot Barrage, everything that they had to try and shut down Akali in that fight. And because Kale was able to flash intervention, save Wicked's life, then throw the Wild Growth onto him, he could just tear them apart. The amount of lifesteal that he has, the amount of mad spell vamp that he has is insane. 2 inhibitors go down, and in Evil Geniuses fashion, they're going to back out and wait before they finish this matchup.
Yeah, they want to play this one safe. They must be sat. Yeah, oh my, wow, they're sat on quite a lot of gold. 2.8k on Twisted Fate, over 2,000 on the AD carry plus Kale, 1,000 on Akali, 1,000 on Lulu, and you can see what it means to them here in terms of items. They're just going to come back into that next fight with so much more. Runic Bulwark picked up there. See, Akali got that giant spell in there with the Chain Vest as well. Gonna become that Sunfire Cape moving in there as well. Rabadon's is done for Twisted Fate. Snoopy is not quite home just yet. And, well, he's actually going to have a 2,400 gold there or thereabouts to spend once he does decide what he's buying.
These boys are definitely not short of pocket change, that is for sure. On Amplifying Tome, so we'll be seeing the Liandry's Torment coming out of Kale. It's effectively an AP mid build, but coming from a jungler, and albeit it's a tad slower than what we're used to seeing, that is a very, very scary prospect. You have 4 carries on the team. You have 4 champions that can tear your lineup apart, and if you focus any one of them down, the single target focus that's going to come down is just going to be interrupted by intervention. If you turn your focus to somebody else, that's going to be interrupted by wild growth. It feels like Evil Geniuses have not only thought out this entire composition of their champions, but they're itemizing just even superior. It's taking it to, you know, the next level.
And here we see once again EG getting involved up by the Baron. Actually, Krepo does not have an Oracle. They do have pink wards, and they don't even seem to care about the fact that there might be any wards around that Baron area. One thing that they do need to be careful of, though, is the fact that Svenskeren is in at the back. They've seen that ward come over, and Wicked, along with the help of Lula, in fact, they throw the pink ward right over that backside. Lee Sin is still off to the side. They decide to actually jump in towards him. They've done so much damage. Svenskeren got no chance to get anywhere near this Baron. The True Shot Barrage did come across. It was a tad too early, and EG gonna pick up a kill and take the Baron.
Such great play from Evil Geniuses. They actually stopped attacking the Baron for a couple of seconds, waited to jump onto Svenskeren's Lee Sin, and once he was dead, then they went back onto Baron to finish it off. The Test had a very good True two-shot barrage. It was a tiny, tiny bit late, a couple seconds later, maybe could have stolen it away. But now Evil Geniuses have started the siege onto this inhibitor turret. 12-4 up. There are super creeps pushing in the middle and the bottom lane. Could this be the final fight, Joe?
It could well be, as we are going to see them moving in. Wicked actually diving on towards Negod Bro. Can they get the engage that they need? They're already doing a ton of damage without really committing to any kind of fight. Here we go, going in onto Kauton. Does manage to get the Zhonya's off for a split second. That will keep him alive, as Froggen is going to get involved there. Negod Bro with the home guard boots goes towards Snoopy. He's using intervention on himself. Shen taking a ton of damage, will fall as well. That's only 3 men left alive. The Nexus turrets are going down. There's none left now. Nexus being beat upon by the super minions, by Wicked. The rest of EG are holding Copenhagen Wolves at bay, and this is going to be a win for Evil Geniuses, who go 2-0 here in the European LCS.
2 games for 2. They put on a clinic. Both matchups absolutely phenomenal. Perfect play. Looking at the kill to death ratio there, once again Snoopy, 2 games, 0 deaths. Froggen, 2 games, 0 deaths. I believe Yellow Pete did go down yesterday, but 4-0-5. Awesome play from Caitlyn.
Really strong performance overall. We said it at the start, Copenhagen Wolves were by no means a disappointing team at the start of this one. They had that lead, but they couldn't quite push it out and go for anything more. But of course, that's it from me and Quickshot here on the caster desk. We're going to throw it over to Demon and Jason, who are going to break down that matchup.
Yes, thank you very much, Joe. And, well, interesting game there for a while. We thought maybe Copenhagen Wolves had something in them. They thought they'd find a little bit of bite, maybe. But no, the puppies are still in the cage, unfortunately. Ladies and gentlemen, they weren't allowed out just yet. But, Jason, it wasn't too bad a game for them. It showed promise, certainly. And bearing in mind, effectively, I saw a lot of chatter on Reddit and Twitter talking about how these teams are going to break into the Big Four. And it is going to take a little while for these guys. But they've got 28 games this half of the season. They're going to get there eventually. The start of the season, it's going to be a tough time for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Copenhagen Wolves, they showed they can win the early game. They can kind of open up these opportunities, but what they need to practice on is capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
We did see EG, it was a very slow game. It really was, until this one point where EG finally picked up a couple kills. We'll just show you that replay in a couple of minutes. But, Copenhagen Wolves, all the teams that joined that aren't the Big Four have shown they have that early game potential, but they need to practice that late game, because then they can really become one of those great teams.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be EG really without the first blood actually didn't come till 12 minutes 15.
Yeah.
So it was a while, and even that was to go into Wolves as well when they dived on towards Wicked in that top lane. So it was a slow, ground out performance that we do see from Evil Geniuses. But talking to Evil Geniuses before we went on air, they said, in practices, in scrims that they've been doing this week, they've been trying to finish games fast, and it's backfired on them every time, and they've lost. So they said, why bother? And I think Joe mentioned it earlier on. You don't get any more points winning a game in 20 minutes or 100 minutes. True. You still win the game, and nobody... Granted, people might not think you're entertaining, but at the end of the day, a win's a win.
True, but I mean, that worked for them in Season 2. Can it work for them in Season 3? That's the big question.
It seems to be. They're grinding it out. They're 2-0.
So far, yeah. But I still always say how well you can adapt as a team to the new strategies and new metas that are coming out will pretty much determine your success, unless you're, I guess, EG, who is still held on to that for so long. And it's one of those things that teams aren't really used to play against. They're not used to the whole mental game of that, of dragging it out, trying to keep your focus for 40, 50, if not 70 minutes long, and then turn that into a victory.
A battle of stamina. And actually, speaking to us a lot earlier, he said... Often SK will throw the games because they'll just get impatient.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was actually talking to Fnatic. He was like, how many times have I thrown? I think he worked it out a 0-9 against Fnatic since way back when. He's just like, they keep throwing the games because they just get a little bit impatient. Maybe that's what we saw there, because even though the fact they got so many kills ahead, so many towers ahead, they were still there with the gold because they kept the farm up. They'd obviously got Twisted Fate, gives them that big gold advantage. Well, I say big gold advantage, but it adds up across the board.
Yeah, it does. I mean, patience, that's the perfect thing to actually lead us into this replay, because we have a nice 2-kill exchange for Wolves. The thing is, they got impatient, they tried to push it, try to get a couple more kills, and because of that, they end up losing 2 members of themselves, and then a big streak against them. I'm going to show you the replay of that fight, get that on your screen for you, just to show you, where this point actually happened. And as you do go in, I mean, you do have Wicked he's not really overextended, but the thing is, he's pretty much 1v2ing at the moment, as we do see LP and Crepple finally coming from the side. See Twisted Fate coming in from the side here. But the thing is, the Copenhagen Wolves, they pick up 2 kills, they get Wicked out of the fight. We see the teleport coming in from Kautar. He unfortunately misses his grasping root here, doesn't hit anyone with this frog, and right there just kind of dodges it last second. And the thing is, Neo Godbro, or Nico, but what's the point in going in right there? He misses the flash, or sorry, he misses the taunt, ends up dying for it. Now Cowtard overextended, can't land anything else, goes down to the red buff, and from that, they lose 2 members, and the key point to that whole thing is, after that, there was 7 unanswered kills, and there was 4 unanswered turrets for EG.
Yeah, and then that's just down to experience, surely. I mean, that was... Actually, honestly, towards the end of that, they were quite fortunate to only lose 2 kills because, you know, Yellow Pete and Froggen had turned that around so much that if anybody else would have gone a little bit deeper, they could have certainly caught out Svenskeren as well. And suddenly it was like, back away. And that was the turning point, like you mentioned. EG started to step up the game. They picked up, how many towers did you say it was?
It was 4 turrets and 7 kills, unanswered.
Unanswered. That is pretty huge, and that's just the pressure. We talked about how, off air, how squishy the team was, but the aggression, it seemed to work so well in their favour. And we saw Snoopy pulling out so many clutch invulnerabilities, easy for me to say. We do have that in this clip here, you know, some of the clutch moments that really the Ultimates combined together. Yeah. These teams, you know, the top teams, the team play they have, so much on just a little bit of a higher level than everybody else.
Yeah, it was like a phantom squishiness because, yeah, you can go in there and get burst down really quickly. We had the Warmogs built up, but with that ultimate from Kayle, with the wild growth out of Lulu, not to mention the shield, that squishiness disappears completely. And at this point in this replay, we're going to show you in a second. It's 4-7. I mean, it's a whole 7 unanswered kills. It's his 4 unanswered turrets. But we have EG kind of baiting them in for a Baron, and they end up getting a pretty good engage themselves. So let's go and get the replay on the screen for you, because after this, it pretty much turns into 11 unanswered kills. As you do see, we have Wicked. He's very tanky right now, as you can see. He's going to dive into the whole back line of Wolves, going past the entire back line. I just want to kind of point out at the test, because Wicked, at this point, he was spotted. I mean, Lee Sin did get the vision onto him, so the test knew exactly where he was. He knew he was going to go for him, and then because of that, the entire team turns and tries to protect him here. We see the crescendo out of Deficio just hit Wicked only, and actually... You're going to see Snoopy pull a really good play here. You see him up in this top side. He's going to flash over this wall just to kind of dodge it because they were lined up for it, but it didn't really matter. That pseudo squishiness completely disappears with that Kayle ultimate, with the wild growth, and then you see the shield coming out of Lulu here, which is going to give him even that much more of a barrier to go for these kills. Picks up the kill on the test, and they just kill one by one by one.
Just absolutely cleaning up right there towards the end. And that was just really it. I mean, we saw it with Gambit Gaming, the just immaculate team play that they had. Obviously, Fnatic themselves showed it yesterday against SK Gaming, but again, EG seem to be on a different level right now. They are 2-0 in this series. Can they stay unbeatable? That's the question. They're going to be going up against SK Gaming. That will be the last match of tonight. Of course, Giants coming up against Gambit. That will be next in a few moments' time. But first of all, we are going to get on towards stage and have an interview with a winning member from Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, I'm here on stage with the AD carry from Evil Geniuses, Yellow Pete. Now, Yellow Pete, yesterday you won against Gambit Gaming, today against the Copenhagen Wolves, and possibly against SK later. If you do, can we call you the favorites for this season?
I don't think it's appropriate to call anyone the favorites from like their first 3 matches. It's still 25 to go after that, so I mean, we'll have a good start then, but it doesn't really give a view over the entire season yet.
Okay, so you're keeping a clear head. Also, for the viewers, it might have seemed that you could have closed the game out a little earlier. What was the thought process between, being careful, maybe?
Well, once we had the lead, like with the first Nasher, and we pushed all the outer turrets, and then it came close to the second Nasher. It's basically the question whether you rather want to force a push at their base or rather want to bait the Nash. And since it was so close already and we were getting further ahead by picking up the jungle repeatedly, it's like you might as well go for the Nasher bait since that worked really well last time.
How are you feeling going into that match against SK after your last meeting at Gamescom?
Well, we've had some trouble against SK in our last tourney matches, so it's definitely going to be a tough one, but it's not like we're mentally blocked or anything. I think we can just go at it with a clear head and just give our best, and we stand a decent chance.
All right, thank you very much. As for us, we're going to go to a short break. But first, I'd like to remind you of our Twitter question. To tweet us at LOLEsports, #LCS. What were the surprises for you guys in yesterday's matches? And of course, if you have any other questions to me, any of the casters or analysts, you can tweet that at LOLEsports, and then we will answer them for you. Now, we're going to a short break, and when we come back, we're going to our commentators for that game, Demon and Jason, for Giants versus Gambit. Don't go anywhere.